Hi, in this video we'll take a journey through the human heart and explore how blood flows through the four chambers, the heart valves and major blood vessels. We shall also break down the two major types of circulation, that is pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. I'll help to shed some light on those. So let's begin our journey through the amazing process of how blood flows through the heart. So the heart is a remarkable organ that is found on the left side of our chest cavities, and its pumping action is vital because it helps circulate blood, which supports all living cells and tissues that make up our bodies. So we as human beings undergo what is known as a double circulation. This means that blood passes through the heart twice through every circuit, unlike some animals that undergo only a single circulation. Basically, blood returns from the body, goes to the heart, and this blood is then pumped to the lungs, returns from the lungs back to the heart, and is later pumped throughout the body. So the double circulation is divided into pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. So during pulmonary circulation, the oxygenated blood travels from the heart to the lungs, and in the lungs it releases carbon dioxide and receives oxygen, and therefore returns as oxygenated blood back to the heart. And during systemic circulation, oxygenated blood travels from the heart to the rest of the body, and this blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to cells, and these cells later on also release carbon dioxide as a waste, and this is taken up by the blood. And the pulmonary circulation therefore takes over once again. So you realize that the main purpose of the pulmonary circulation is to oxygenate blood and get rid of carbon dioxide, and the main purpose of the systemic circulation is to deliver oxygen and nutrients to the body cells and tissues and collect waste products from them. So that is the main advantage of the double circulation in humans, and it is made possible by the heart being divided into two. One half, rather the right side of the heart, the right pump, deals with the oxygenated blood from the body, and the left pump deals with oxygenated blood from the lungs and pumps it to the rest of the body. So let's dive into the anatomy of the heart, but I know this diagram, even for A-level students, might be a bit complicated, so I'll use a diagram that might be easier to understand or that you're more familiar with. But at the end of the video, I'll actually use this same complicated diagram as a reference as I make a quick recap. So let's get into it. So there is the image of our heart. I've already said I'm using this simpler diagram because most of you are very familiar with it, and it makes explaining whatever I want very easy and direct to the point. So as you can see, the heart is just two separate pumps lying side to side. I already said the left pump deals with oxygenated blood from the lungs, while the right pump deals with the oxygenated blood. Now I hope your directions are actually very good. I'm not talking about your left or your right. I'm talking about the left and right of your screen, because I'm sure you're all facing screens. So I'm talking about the left and right of your screens, unless you're facing the same direction as your screen. So anyway, the left and right pump are separated by what is known as the septum, and each pump has two chambers. So in total, the heart has four chambers. The heart has four chambers. So the two upper thin wall chambers are called the atria, and the two lower thick wall chambers are called the ventricles. There are two atria, one on the left, and same can be said for the ventricles. I hope that one is very clear. So I'll start with the right atria. So the right atria receives the oxygenated blood from the body, and this blood enters the right atria through a blood vessel called the vena cava. Now the vena cava, as you can see, is connected to the right atria, and this is responsible for bringing the oxygenated blood from the body back to the heart. Now please remember, this is happening in both atria. I'm just starting with the right atria so you guys get the point. So once the oxygenated blood is in the right atria contracts and blood is forced into the right ventricle, and I hope you can see that the right atria is separated from the right ventricle by a valve, and that valve is called the tricuspid valve. So these valves prevent the backflow of blood into the atria once they're in the ventricles. So once in the right ventricle contracts, and this forces the tricuspid valves to close and pushes open the pulmonary valve, and therefore the blood leaves the heart through the pulmonary artery, and this is the only artery that carries the oxygenated blood in our bodies. So the oxygenated blood leaves the heart through the pulmonary artery and is pumped to the lungs, where it releases carbon dioxide and receives oxygen, and therefore becomes oxygenated. And this oxygenated blood returns to the heart through the pulmonary vein, which is also the only vein that carries oxygenated blood in our bodies. So this oxygenated blood passes through the pulmonary vein into the left atrium. So once in the left atrium also contracts, and this blood pushes open another pair of valves, and these are called the bicuspid valves or the mitral valves, and this blood then goes to the left ventricle. So once in the left ventricle also contracts, and this and when it contracts, the pressure of the blood closes the bicuspid valves, hence preventing the backflow of blood. Remember, that's the whole essence of the valves in our heart. So the same pressure of blood due to the contraction of the ventricle pushes open the aortic valve, and this blood leaves the heart through the aorta and is pumped to the rest of the body, delivering oxygen and nutrients to body cells and tissues. So the valves, all of them, open and close due to pressure changes in the heart due to the contraction of the atria and the ventricles, and they ensure one-way movement of blood, so they prevent backflow of blood. And these valves, we know that are also found in our veins and the lymphatic system. Now, an important thing to know about valves is that they are categorized into two. We have the atrioventricular valves, and these include the bicuspid or mitral valve and the tricuspid valve. So why is it called the tricuspid valve? Now, tri there means three, and cuspid basically means flaps or leaflets, but I think flaps is better, or cusps. So this means that the tricuspid valve gets its name because it has three flaps or cusps that open and close, allowing blood to flow from the right atrium to the left ventricle. Now, bicuspid valves have only two flaps, just like any other valve. And then under the valves, we also have the semilunar valves, and these include the pulmonary valve and the aortic valve. Another interesting thing is that the sound of our heart, well, that's just the sound of our valves closing. The first sound comes from the atrioventricular valves closing, and that is the lab sound in the lab dub sound. And the second sound comes from the closure of the semilunar valves, causing the dub sound. So that's where the lab dub sound of our heart comes from. Now, also attached to the valves are the tendentious cords, and these are strong and thin string-like structures inside the heart, and these connect the heart valves to the pulmonary muscles. So when the ventricles contract, the pressure inside increases, and these tendentious cords prevent the valves from turning inside out or opening backward, which would cause backflow of blood. So they help the valves in their function of preventing blood from flowing from the ventricles back to the atria. So that's the essence of the tendentious cords. So another important thing you might have observed is that the ventricles are thick-walled, but the left ventricle is more thick-walled compared to the right ventricle. So why is this even important? Well, this is because the left ventricle has more cardiac muscle, enabling it to pump blood at a higher pressure to reach all over the body compared to the right ventricle, which only pumps blood a short distance to the lungs and back. So you should remember that the atria, both the right and left atria, contract simultaneously. So they contract at the same time, followed by the right and left ventricles. And I hope that was very clear. Now, as I said, I'll go through a quick recap using another complex diagram of the heart. This is how the real heart looks like. Okay, now deoxygenated blood from the body enters the heart through the vena cava and flows into the right atrium. It then passes through the tricuspid valve into the right ventricle. The right ventricle contracts, and this blood passes through the pulmonary valve into the pulmonary artery, which carries this blood to the lungs. In the lungs, the blood releases carbon dioxide and receives oxygen. The oxygenated blood then returns to the heart, to the pulmonary veins, into the left atria. So the left atria then contracts, and this blood passes through the bicuspid valves or the mitral valves into the left ventricle. And the left ventricle contracts and pumps this blood through the aortic valves into the aorta, which delivers blood to the entire body. So that is what you need to know about blood flow and the anatomy of the heart in a flash. So from the moment the blood comes from the body and returns to your heart, goes to the lungs, returns to the heart, and flows back to the body, every heartbeat follows a precise pathway that keeps us alive. And the heart chambers, the blood vessels and valves all work together as a perfectly coordinated system to deliver oxygen, remove wastes from our cells. So understanding how blood flows through our heart helps us to appreciate the incredible design of our human body. If you enjoy the journey through the heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe, and join us for more fascinating discoveries in biology. This is Discover Biology, where we explore the science of life. Thank you for watching.